I used to be just like you. Every morning I'd wake up to my Apple Watch alarm, check my notifications on my iPhone, work all day on my laptop, on my MacBook, and back everything up to iCloud, and then basically fall asleep exhausted in front of my Apple TV. I was living the dream. Apple's dream, that is. Yet, I was constantly reminded that Apple doesn't play well with others. Like when I try to share photos with my Android-using friends, and it started to feel more like a nightmare. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just using Apple's products, I was trapped in their ecosystem. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I broke free from Apple's golden handcuffs and how you can do too, even if you're not ready to ditch your iPhone just yet. Before we dive into escape strategies, let's understand what we're dealing with here. The Apple ecosystem is like a luxury hotel that's incredibly comfortable but charges you for everything and makes it incredibly difficult to check out. There's the hardware side. I mean, iPhones, MacBooks, iPads, Apple Watches, AirPods, HomePods. I mean, you know the drill. But I'm not here to tell you to throw your expensive devices in the trash. That's neither practical nor necessary, though ditching the hardware is certainly an option. Personally, I'm still using Apple products. I'm still using the iPhone as my main phone, but with my system, I now have the option to choose what and when I want it, because the real lock-in happens with Apple's software ecosystem, and that's what we're focusing on today. At the center of all of it is iCloud, the digital glue binding everything together. Your photos, messages, app data, device backups, they all live in here. And Apple doesn't make it easy to get that data out when you want to leave. iCloud isn't just cloud storage, it's the central nervous system of Apple's ecosystem that syncs your photos, contacts, calendars, passwords, documents, and more across all your devices. But the real issue isn't the cost, it's how deeply integrated iCloud becomes with your digital life. Apple gives you a measly 5 gigabytes of free storage, which doesn't get you far with today's high-resolution photos and 4K videos. You're quickly pushed into paying monthly for more, starting at 99 cents for 50 gigabytes and going up to $9.99 for 2 terabytes. After testing numerous alternatives, I found pCloud to be the overall best replacement. Unlike iCloud, pCloud offers up to 10 gigabytes for free, and here's the kicker. They have lifetime plans, and instead of paying Apple indefinitely, I pay pCloud once and got 2 terabytes of storage forever. Now, on CloudWords, we have a calculator that shows you exactly how much money you would save over the years by opting for a lifetime cloud storage plan like pCloud instead of a month-to-month option like iDrive. Check out the link in the description box below. The migration process was surprisingly simple. I installed pCloud Drive on my Mac, which created a virtual drive that works just like iCloud Drive. I dragged my files over, and now I can access them from any device, Apple or not Apple. What I particularly love about pCloud is its media player. I can stream my music and video files directly from the cloud without downloading them first, similar to how Apple Music works. And pCloud's mobile app automatically backs up my photos, replacing iCloud Photos. It's not my primary replacement for photos though, so stick around if you want another great alternative for that. If pCloud isn't your style, Sync.com offers similar features with even stronger security by default. For those who need tons of space, Filen gives you 20 gigabytes of free to start, and yes, Google Drive and Dropbox work fine too, though they're less, well, let's say privacy focused. Another great option is Internext, a highly secure and private cloud storage service based in Spain. Internext stands out from the other cloud options we've mentioned because it can replace more than just your iCloud storage. Internext cloud storage focuses heavily on user privacy, and it comes also bundled with several other apps, including a VPN and, yeah, antivirus. More relevant to this video though is that they're soon launching video chat and email clients, both included in the cloud storage subscription. It's perfect for ditching FaceTime and Apple Mail. But before we tackle photos, let me get a sip of my coffee here. Speaking of coffee, I'm basically fueled by it daily, and after struggling to find consistently great beans, my partner and I founded Coffeeness to create the perfect chocolatey espresso blend. We've tested this blend in over 100 machines to make it perfect. Take a look at our overflowing storage rooms right here with all the machines. From high-end manual espresso machines, like this beauty here, to Breville or Sage semi-automatics, or maybe you're the super automatic guy and you prefer a Duro machine like this one here, or the budget models from DeLonghi that works also perfectly with our espresso. It delivers exceptional results every single time. Wonderful. We personally visit our partner farms in Brazil every year, sourcing 100% Arabica beans through direct trade relationships. And each small batch is freshly roasted in Brooklyn, resulting in a medium strength espresso with delightful chocolate and hazelnut notes. Our customers love it too, with hundreds of 5-star reviews on our website and Trustpilot. One reviewer wrote, "Great beans for my super auto with smooth crema as in a coffee bar in Italy." Lovely to hear that. Use the coupon code CLOUDWORDS for 5% off your first order, and European viewers visit our EU store for beans roasted in Frankfurt, and US viewers head to coffeeness.com for Brooklyn roasted beans. All the links are in the description box below. And now, back to today's video. Next up, let's tackle photos, often the most emotionally valuable data in your digital life. iCloud Photos is admittedly convenient. Every picture you take automatically appears across all your Apple devices, but it rapidly consumes your iCloud storage, pushing you to pay for upgrades. And after comparing multiple services, I settled on Google Photos as my iCloud Photos replacement. Despite no longer offering unlimited storage, it still provides better search capabilities than Apple, and I can search for beach sunset and instantly find relevant photos without manually tagging anything. If you're not using Google Photos or are not taking advantage of all its features, check out the link up in the corner or in the description box below. In that video, I do a deep dive into everything Google Photos that you need to know. The migration was also straightforward, but a little time consuming. I installed Google Photos on my iPhone, enabled backup, and waited for the photos to upload. For the photos, I had stored on iCloud. Basically, I downloaded everything to my computer first and then uploaded everything to Google Photos. What surprised me was how much better Google's automatic organization is. Their AI creates meaningful collections based on people, places, and even concepts in your photos, and sharing is infinitely easier. I just sent a link that works for anyone, not just basically for Apple users. Now, let's talk security, specifically passwords and authentication. The Apple Password app is convenient, but limited. It's a seamless experience with the Apple ecosystem, and if you install iCloud on your PC, even if you don't use it for cloud storage, you can sync your passwords from your Apple ID. However, to break free from the Apple ecosystem, you can go with an option like Bitwarden, for example. It's secure, completely cross-platform, and the basic version is free. I can access my passwords on any device regardless of operating system. Getting my passwords out of Apple Passwords was the trickiest part of this whole process. And here's what worked for me. On my Mac, I went to Safari, then Preferences, then Passwords, and exported everything to a CSV file. Then I imported that into Bitwarden. And Bitwarden is exceptionally functional and easy to use. Beyond passwords, it securely stores credit cards, identity information, secure notes, all accessible everywhere. It even alerts me about compromised accounts, which is super handy. Now for families, Bitwarden's premium plan lets multiple people securely share passwords for Netflix, utilities, and other shared accounts. Communication is where Apple's lock-in is perhaps the most obvious. iMessage and FaceTime only work with other Apple users, creating that infamous green bubble divide. The reality is that you'll need multiple messaging apps depending on basically who you're talking to. I found WhatsApp works for most of my international friends, while Signal is my go-to for security-conscious conversations. Just make sure you don't invite someone you're not supposed to. The transition was simple. I installed these apps on my iPhone and asked my contacts to connect there instead. For video calls, Zooms, and Google Meet, they all work across all platforms and don't require everyone to have an Apple device. What surprised me was discovering how limited FaceTime actually is compared to alternatives. With Google Meet, I can schedule calls in advance, I can share my screen easily, and have up to 100 participants without paying a dime. When I travel internationally, WhatsApp's voice and video calls work flawlessly over Wi-Fi, meaning no hefty phone bills. However, it's worth noting that WhatsApp is banned in 8 countries, including the UAE, Qatar, and Egypt. And for those concerned about privacy, Signal offers end-to-end encryption that's actually more comprehensive than iMessage, which only encrypts messages between Apple devices. And when communicating with non-Apple users, iMessage defaults to unencrypted SMS, which most people don't realize is a massive security downgrade. Let's tackle productivity with apps like Notes, Calendar, Mail, and Documents. Apple Notes is fine for basic note-taking, but once I switch to Notion, I never look back. With Notion, I can create databases, Kanban boards, wikis, and interconnected pages. It syncs across all my devices regardless of operating system. If you're using Notion, drop a comment here and let me know how you're using it. For email, I moved from iCloud Mail to Proton Mail. Their free plan doesn't offer as much storage as iCloud's free tier, just 1 GB, but remember that iCloud storage is shared between many different apps, whereas Proton Mail's 1 GB is for emails only. You also get encrypted emails, which is a feature that Apple doesn't offer, and transferring my email was straightforward. I set up my Proton Mail account to fetch from iCloud temporarily, then gradually updated my email address across all my services. Now, for Calendar, I exported my iCloud Calendar as an ICS file and imported it into Google Calendar. And Google Calendar has just as many features as Apple's Calendar, making the transition pretty easy and painless. What I didn't expect was how liberating it would be to use best-in-class apps for each purpose rather than Apple's one-size-fits-all approach. My Notion workspace is customized to my workflow. My Calendar integrates with everything, and having my email with a privacy-focused provider gives me the peace of mind that Apple never really did. Now, for Documents, Google Workspace has completely replaced Pages, Numbers, and Keynote for me. The collaboration features are significantly better, and I no longer have to worry about compatibility when sharing files. And here at CloudWords, we use Google Docs anyway, so it's very convenient to also use it on my private and personal devices. There's more to the Apple ecosystem than just work and productivity, such as music, podcasts, and video. And switching from Apple Music was refreshingly easy. I installed Spotify and used the Song Shift app to transfer my playlist. Within an hour, all my carefully curated music collections had moved over. Very simple. What I love about Spotify that Apple Music lacks is its superior discovery algorithms and social features. I can see what my friends are listening to and collaborate on playlists with them, regardless of what devices they use. The biggest surprise was realizing how much better Spotify's interface is for discovery. Their Discover weekly playlists consistently introduces me to new artists I love, something Apple Music never quite got right for me. And being able to control music from any device, including my smart TV or PlayStation, that was a game changer. For podcasts, I switched to Overcast. It syncs across all Apple devices and offers better playback features than Apple Podcasts, like automatically skipping intros and outros and smart resume with rewinds a few seconds when unpausing. I can also set different playback speeds there. So whatever podcast I want to listen to a little bit faster, Overcast gives me that option. For my videos, I now canceled Apple TV Plus, and honestly, I don't really miss it. I have more content than I can watch between Netflix and YouTube Premium and occasional rentals on Amazon. And I know this last one is like more of a personal preference because, I mean, there are plenty of great shows like Severance and Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus that you can't get anywhere else. But, well, if you want to pull the plug on the subscription but still have access to exclusive shows, you might find a way on the interwebs on how to get them. If you've taken my advice so far, you've done a lot to escape the Apple ecosystem. However, there's even more you can do to free your digital life from Apple's grasp. Having a GPS in your pocket whenever you travel is the best way to navigate around a new area. Maps is another area where Apple tries to keep you in their ecosystem, but I found ways to be a better overall option. It works perfectly on my iPhone while offering better public transit directions and more accurate traffic information. If you need offline access to maps or better hiking trail directions, I recommend installing maps.me as well. Obviously, Google Maps is another alternative if you need more detailed information on businesses and shops. For payments, I've replaced Apple Pay with a combination of Google Pay and PayPal. They work across all platforms, and PayPal's buy protection saved me several times when purchases went wrong, a protection Apple Pay does not offer. Health tracking is another area that's really deeply ingrained into Apple's ecosystem, and to be fair, it's a pretty comprehensive program. I still use my Apple Watch, but I've connected it to third-party apps like Strava and MyFitnessPal that can sync data between platforms, and this way, when I eventually switch to Garmin or Fitbit, my fitness history won't be locked into the Apple Health ecosystem. What I like best about the third-party option was discovering how many health apps basically offer features that Apple doesn't. Strava's community features for runners and cyclists blow Apple Fitness out of the water, while apps like Chronometer offer nutrition tracking that's far more comprehensive than anything in the health app that at least I could find. What does my digital life look like now? I still use my iPhone and MacBook, but they're now portals to a platform-agnostic digital life, not the center of it. My photos back up to Google Photos, my files live in iCloud, my passwords are in Bitwarden, and I communicate through WhatsApp and Signal. My productivity system runs on Notion and obviously Google Workspace, and my entertainment comes from Spotify and various video services. The beauty of this approach is flexibility. The next time I upgrade my phone, I'll have complete freedom to choose any device without worrying about losing access to my digital life. If Apple releases an incredible new phone, well, great, I have all my files there. If Samsung Galaxy looks better, no problem. My software is not holding me hostage anymore. Let me address some common concerns about escaping the Apple ecosystem. You may feel like you'll lose the seamless integration between Apple devices, and well, yes and no. You lose some convenience, but gain flexibility. Most services I've mentioned work across all Apple devices like their native counterparts. The difference is they'll also work if you eventually go to a non-Apple device. The security these third-party apps offer is also a common concern. You don't have to worry though. Many of the alternatives I highlighted in this video are actually more secure than Apple's offerings. Services like Bitwarden and ProtonMail focus exclusively on security and privacy, often exceeding Apple standards. Just stick to a reputable provider and enable two-factor authentication everywhere. And of course, read our reviews on cloudwords.net, which you can find in the description box below. If you're concerned about communicating with your Apple-using friends, don't be. All the communication apps I've mentioned work perfectly on Apple devices. Your friends won't even need a switch. They can install these apps alongside their Apple apps, and hey, if your Apple friends are adamant about using messages, you still have that as an option, right? There are some noticeable trade-offs, like using AirDrop. AirDrop is convenient. I've used this plenty of times with my friends, and that's true, but there are also alternatives. You could try QuickShare, which works similarly to AirDrop, but it's only available on Android and Windows. Another option is to simply send links through messaging apps. It's an extra step, but the freedom might be worth it. If you've stuck with me this far, you may feel like this is all a bit too complicated. The good news is that it really doesn't have to be. My advice, just do one service at a time, starting with whatever frustrates you the most about the Apple ecosystem. And even replacing just iCloud storage or photos will give you significant freedom and save you money. The transition doesn't have to be instant. I tackled one service at a time over several months. I started with the most important, for me it's photos and files, then gradually migrated everything else. And this approach made it manageable and less overwhelming, so to speak. The key is to focus on services that use open standards and have robust import and export tools. And this ensures you're not just trading Apple's walled garden for just another one. For example, I chose ProtonMail partly because they let me easily export my data if I ever want to switch again. Breaking free from the Apple ecosystem has been one of the most liberating tech decisions I've made. I no longer worry about compatibility or paying endless subscription fees. My digital life is now platform agnostic, ready to move wherever technology takes us next. I've saved about $150 annually by replacing iCloud and Apple services with better and cheaper alternatives for my specific needs. But more importantly, I've gained peace of mind knowing that a single company's decisions don't control my digital life. So, what's your experience with the Apple ecosystem? Are you considering breaking free, or do you prefer the integrated approach? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more practical tech advice. Based on your feedback and comments, I may create some follow-up videos with detailed migration guides for specific services. Remember, your digital life should work for you, not lock you in. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.